Hey, how's it going? And today I wanted to show you this functionality that is the beginning of a counter, which is the computer score versus a user score. And I'm just going to show you kind of the basis of it, and then I'll show you how to do it real fast. And I'm just using on Quik right now, but eventually it'll be fed through another node. It won't be, but I just wanted to get it working, and then I'll make another video to show you where it kind of goes from here. But if we hit play, we come in here and we have a user score and a computer score, and if I click on this one, every time I click on it the user score goes up. Every time I click on this, the computer score goes up. So this something will happen, the user will get a point, the computer will win, they'll get some points, this one will win, this one will win. So this is just showing you the incrementing function of it, of the game counter. And so I'll go ahead and show you how I got this going. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So what we're going to do to get started on this is we're going to go into games. We're going to go to first person, no starter content. We'll just leave it at my project 7 and hit create. And this will just take a few minutes here, just a couple minutes. And I've already done this a few times today, so hopefully it'll go fairly smoothly. So the first thing we're going to do is I'll be clicked on content, and I'm going to create the graphic user interface, the UMG, and I'm going to right click and here, and I'm going to user widget, and I'm just going to call this counter user interface, and we're going to double click on this. And of course you can get more technical with all of this, but this is just kind of to get you going here. I'm not going to overly format it, but first we'll just type in a canvas panel and drag this to the scene, and then we're going to go and get some text, a bunch of text. So the first text I need 4 of them, so I'm just going to drag them all on here like that, and they're all kind of on top of each other right now. So the first one is going to be called computer score, and I'll hit that fit, size that to fit. The next one is going to be called user score, and I'll hit that. And on the y-axis, I'm just going to drop this down a little bit here. I'll just type in 50 to make it clean. And then we're going to have here, I'm just going to call this so I don't get confused about what's what. I'm going to call this user, and then I'm going to call this second one computer. Okay, so the user one, the user text block, I'm just going to use these controls over here. I'm going to move it over, let's say, what is that? Let's just say 275. And then on the Y, I'll drop it down, what is it, 50? Yeah. So if you use the numbers here to position everything, then it should end up being pretty clean. So if I go, what was it, 275? So then everything will line up. So the computer score, this will ultimately be a number, and this will ultimately be a number. But we have to create this first for me to do the very next step. So we're going to compile and save this. And of course you could make this look a lot better. Anyway, so now we're going to go into the first person blueprint here, and there's just a couple things we're going to do. So the first thing is we're going to be creating 2 variables in here, and we're going to be calling on them using the casting process. And so this is just really what we're doing, is just a place for us to put some variables, and we're going to be able to call them from here, from the first person blueprint. So we go here up to variable here, and I'm going to call this first one computer underscore score. Whoops, score. And this is going to be a integer. I might as well go ahead and make it public, and I can compile that. It's going to have a default value of 0. And then I'm going to create one more variable, and I'm going to call this user underscore score, and it's also an integer. Compile it. I'll go ahead and make that public too. Say compile and save it, and then we'll call these in just a minute here. Now there's some groundwork we got to do here to be able to click on stuff. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to call up our widget display that we just created. We're going to have to put a command in for that for it to display, and then we're going to make it so that we can click with our mouse and we can see our mouse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and go event begin play right here, and then I'm just going to drag off of this, and I'm going to go create widget, and then we're going to call up our display that we just made, the counter UI. And then from here we got to add it to the viewport. So we go add to viewport like that. Hook that up. And then dragging, then we're going to right click and we're going to write get player controller. This thing right here. And we're going to pull off of this. And we're going to go look for set, enable, click events. And check that box right there. And then we're going to plug this into there like that. And then we're going to drag off of here again. And we're going to look for set, show, mouse cursor. And we are going to click that and then just plug this into that. And that's all we should have to do here in the first person blueprint. So on event begin, display our widget, get the player controller, set it so we can click on things and see the mouse too. So compile, save, and plus we got our two variables over here. So I can actually just close out of that window completely. Now most of our work's going to be in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch over into the graph portion of this. And what we're going to do is, what are we going to do? Oh, we're going to come in here and off of this, we're going to pull and we're going to go cast to first person blueprint, this thing right here. And we're going to go get player character. And then on this one, we're going to click and promote it to a variable. So we have access. This is basically our doorway into the first person blueprint so we can get to those variables that we created. So we're going to compile and save that. And then what we're going to do is not on the event graph, but I can go back to the designer here and I'm going to click on this text block here, which is for the computer. And down here on this variable, we're going to go on the text content, we're going to go bind, create binding. And this comes in here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pull this in like this. Whoops. And get the first person. And now here is basically where we're going to look for that computer variable. So we're going to type in get computer score. And then we're simply just going to plug it in here and it will automatically convert into the value that we need. So this is basically the function that's just going to go into the blueprint and grab what we need. And we're going to compile and save that. Now we've done that for the computer score. So now we got to go and do that. We go back into designer and go for the user now. Same thing on the text block. We come here to bind, create binding. Same thing, just pull this down, get it, get our access basically. And now we want to get the user score. So we type in get user score, which is right here. And the same thing, we just pop this into here and we go compile and save. So that should take care of everything for our counter as far as creating the functionality that we need. Now we're going to go back in here, we're going to go back to the content level, and now we're going to, this is the home stretch right here, we're going to create our cubes and add the functionality to them. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to blueprint class, actor, and it doesn't really matter what I call this. Let's call this counting cubes. How about that? And let's double click on this. And then we're going to go in here to add, and we're going to go to a cube here. And let's just name this user so we don't get confused. And if we want, we can give it a different color. Let's just make it green. And we'll offset it a little bit. Let's just leave it there for now. And then we're going to go ahead and add another cube. And let's call this computer. And I don't want one to be greater than the other, so I'll just drag that on so I'm the same level. And then on computer, we can go ahead and give it a different color just to spice things up a little bit. And then what we can do is if I'm clicked on the user and I go into the down here onto on clicked, it's going to jump me into the event graph. And then we're going to come here and we're going to pull up our, this is going to be where we do our actual incrementing of our counter. So now we're going to pull from the first person blueprint to get our variables. So we're going to go cast here to first person blueprint, this one right here. Just like before, we're going to go get player character. I tried doing this with a blueprint interface and it didn't work. I was having a lot of trouble with it. So the casting method is still the tried and true method, even though it's not always the most preferable in the world. And then the last thing we're going to do here is we're going to come here and we're going to go set. Now we're on the user here, right? So we go set user score, and we're going to pull off here and we're going to get user score here, and then drag off of here, and this is where we do the actual incrementing, and we go add, and that's an operator, and click right here, we're going to add 1. And then we simply plug this into this and then plug it in like that, wire it like that. Okay, so that takes care of our user. We can compile and save that. And now if I come here on the, go back into the viewport here and click on the computer cube and come down and do the same thing for that basically. On clicked, it pops me in. We're gonna go, this is good practice, I guess. Cast to first person character right here. Get first person character. I sure hope this works. No, get character player, I'm sorry. And then the last thing is, this last part is get set computer score. Pull off here. Get computer score. Pull off here. Add and plug this in here. Plug this in here, go compile, save, and let's go in here and cross our fingers and hope it all works. So I'm just going to drag this in like this, maybe raise it up a little bit. We'll hit play. There's our interface right there. I click. One for the computer, one for the user, 2 for the computer, 1 for the user. So from here, it's just a question of hooking up other inputs besides just on clicking. So anyway, I hope you found this helpful. Take care, have a great day, and I'll talk to you next time.